Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I hope everyone's safe and healthy on Easter. My Easter is until next Sunday since I'm Greek Orthodox, but happy Easter nonetheless. Anyhow, today I'd just like to cover, or at least correct some information from last week's video and provide updates on economic impact payments, or EIPs for short. Last week I covered in detail the SBA payment program, or PPP for short. Essentially, the payment program allows business owners to receive a forgivable loan. This loan will cover 2.5 times their average monthly payroll. It's 100% forgivable as long as they use 75% of the loan for payroll. You can use an additional 25% for mortgage interest, rent, utility costs, and I believe it's also healthcare costs, so healthcare premium. So basically, if you're not having success with your current bank, I know U.S. Bank is accepting applications from non-customers, and that's the only bank of the major 5 that are actually doing that. So creating a business account won't really make a difference either. So if you bank with Chase and then you show up and you're like, well, they're not taking my application, you can't just go to another bank and try to create a business account. It's not going to make a difference because the cutoff period was February 15th of 2020. So, mostly speaking though, any business with one owner having 80% or more beneficial ownership, those are the ones being taken care of right now, or at least first. So I'm sure this week they're going to be getting to more multiple ownership companies. So just some of the first loans were actually funded this past Friday. So the wheels are just beginning to turn. Just need to stress that people need to be patient. There's hundreds of thousands of applications that poured into the system last week. And underwriters, analysts, they just need to manually go through each application. It just really doesn't help when, businesses apply that don't really need it and kind of overwhelm the system. But anyway, let's move forward to economic impact payments, or EIPs. So these are the Trump checks that people will be expecting next week. I know some people got them on Friday. So, the effective date was Friday the 10th. So, who's actually eligible? People are falsely stating that the cutoff is $75,000 of gross income. In actuality, if you make more than $75K, it's $5. So $5 is reduced from each $100 over the $75,000 threshold. So if you make up to 99, so once you get to 99,000, that's when you're cut off. So if you're married filing jointly, it's 198,000. That's when you're cut off. So you're eligible, of course, for $500 per child as well. If you filed taxes and received a direct deposit in 2018 or 2019, just expect the check to be electronically deposited as well. If you need to update your bank account information with the IRS, the Treasury Department announced the creation of, it's like a new online portal that they'll update. You can update your information on the website. So other than that, your local bank is probably going to send you a text message just updating you on the deposit. So keep your eyes out for that. So let's just look overall at last week and this week upcoming. Things are starting to improve, really. I think we're going to start seeing normalization of society. I mean, it's looking like social distancing is working. So the curve is being flattened. That's what we've really wanted to see. I'm just really questioning the ability of the World Health Organization, since they clearly dropped the ball when it came to the pandemic. The United States accounts for 15% of their funding, whereas China accounts for only 0.21%, so less than 1%. And I just think it's quite interesting that CDC chief Tedros said that the World Health Organization, quote unquote, doesn't play politics when they don't allow Taiwan to participate in the WHO. They ignored, when even Taiwan said that it was clearly having human-to-human transmission, and they took China's word over theirs. One of their representatives even ignored a journalist's question about Taiwan. I just simply don't understand why the media is trusting China and their numbers. A lot of the mainstream media sources are still pointing out that we're the #1 death, or at least numbers of deaths in the world. I just simply don't believe that. I think China kind of covered up how serious it was and how bad it got initially. Throughout their modern history, they've rampantly lied when it comes to human error and death. You think about Tiananmen Square. But simply put, the World Health Organization failed in its role to promote health, or at least healthcare access, or just, good health, ideas across the world, and actually allowed the spread of the virus with incorrect recommendations. So heads of countries listen to the recommendations and put their populations at risk as a result. And since we have a financial stake in the organization, it's only right to reconsider our support and call for, an investigation about what's been going on within the organization over the past few months. Trump mentioned that in the press conference that he's going to look into it, but there's nothing to, in writing yet that we're going to do an investigation or reduce the amount of payments or at least the money that we're sending there. So anyway, China's been busy politicizing the virus. Last Thursday night, not many people looked into this, but the United Nations Security Council, so the UNSC, they held a virtual meeting. This includes China, Russia, United States, Great Britain, and France. So apparently throughout the meeting, China and Russia paired together, blamed the United States for using racism to blame China. It's not really racist to name a virus, from where it comes from. It's Chinese is an ethnicity, not a race. And even Bill Maher was trending this weekend for saying this very reason, pointing out the liberal scientists even have done the same thing for years, saying, things like Lyme disease or Ebola. Ebola is named after a river that's in Africa. So, you summed it up quite bluntly. It's problematic when people would rather be politically correct while dying from the virus, when in reality they just need to be specific of where this virus came from. We need to address how they are as a nation. Like I said in the previous video, they spit everywhere and they have different, health standards than most countries. Look at SARS, the bird flu, Hong Kong virus, they all came from China. But overall, I'm just looking for this to be over. We just need to be patient, trust the process, and we should have normalization here in the coming weeks or months, if that. So just stay safe, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.